So a couple weeks ago, I picked up Apple's latest Series 8 Apple Watch, and I primarily picked this up as a fitness tracker. Been enjoying it, been using it daily, closing those rings. But then a couple weeks after that, I picked up the Apple Watch Ultra, and I've been equally loving this and using it to close said rings. So I figured since I have both in hand, and as of late both on wrist, why not take a look at the Apple Watch Series 8 versus the Apple Watch Ultra. Adrian here for Digital Dojos, and as I noted, this is going to be a look at both of the latest generations of Apple Watches and the releases of the Apple Watches. This is not the in-depth review of each of these, rather just a look at my experience with both of them and which one is better suited for you. And with that, let's start off by taking a look at the Apple Watch Series 8 and taking a look at what's new in comparison to that of its previous generation, the Series 7. And since we're talking about watches and in the interest of time, I'll save you some. There's not a lot that's different between the Series 7 and 8. I'd say if you're on the Series 7, there's absolutely no reason to update to that of the Series 8. Rather, if you're on a much older generation and looking to get an Apple Watch, that may be more justifiable. For example, I came from the Series 3 Apple Watch, so this was a nice jump in terms of an upgrade. Now, what's actually new in the 7 and 8? The 8 sports a new body temperature sensor and the new crash detection sensor for safety features and functionality. While those are nice to have, and hopefully you'll never need the crash detection sensor, they're not necessarily reasons to upgrade in my opinion. The screen's the same. It's the same Retina technology. It's 41 or 45 millimeters. This is the 45 millimeter model. Same durability, same resistance, same battery life even. You do get that new S8 chip powering this, but other than that, it's practically the same watch. And I'd argue if you're on the Series 7, again, no need to update. Or if you're looking for a new model of Apple Watch, you can either save a couple bucks and get the Series 7 or just get the latest and greatest and go with Series 8. So now that you know what's new of the latest model, let's talk about my experience with this. Again, I picked this up coming from the Series 3 Apple Watch. While I've had Apple Watches in the past and I thought smartwatches would be like the perfect match for me, where it's like something like I love like watches and technology, I just wasn't wearing mine as often. I'm a big fan of normal watches. I have a collection of analog watches, and thus I wouldn't wear my Apple Watch to get the true benefit. However, as of late, it was kind of perfect timing. I've really been getting into fitness, and as a result, I've been really getting into tracking data and being able to quantify all of that. So the Apple Watch Series 8 really came in clutch. And in my experience, it's been working phenomenally. Tracking all the data that I wanted to, from calories burned, steps, stand goals, move goals, just getting me that little extra push to go out and get something done. At the end of these days, these trackers, these watches, they're not going to get you fit in and of itself, but they're a nice kind of step forward to get you moving. And at the end of the day, whether it's gamifying it or what have you, if it gets you moving, then all the more power to you. Again, in my experience, this was phenomenal. It's lightweight, it's easy to wear. You have the versatility of the different bands that you can get for different situations, whether you're running or just everyday use, or you want something a little bit more dressed up, or something, like the Milanese loop or leather bands, so on and so forth. 18 hours of battery life that is on the Series 8 is phenomenal. I mean, in the most part, I would end my day with like 60%, if not higher. And I'm somebody who just traditionally just puts my watch on the stand at night anyway to charge it. So I wasn't needing all day battery life out of it anyway. But in itself, the Series 8 proved to be, solid for all intents and purposes. Again, I got really into tracking the rings and setting those goals. I also subscribed to Apple Fitness, which allows you to do these kind of online workouts that you can track, or online or offline workouts that you can track with your Apple Watch. And while you're wearing your Apple Watch, you'll actually see your live stats on screen. So it's a nice little way to tie you into that whole Apple ecosystem. In terms of using it as an actual smartwatch, I'll be honest, I took away a lot of the smartwatch features because having this device on my wrist, having this in my pocket, traditionally being in front of the computer, I didn't need all those notifications coming in on everywhere. But at the end of the day, it is nice to get notifications at a glance, and it's nice to not have to pull your phone out every time. You can just reference your wrist and quickly kind of go on about your day. Now, let's talk about what's new in the Apple Watch Ultra. It's a little bit harder to compare this to a previous model because this is the first of its kind. But the biggest thing in the Apple Watch Ultra is its all-new design. It's a titanium finish, which means it's much more durable, a little bit heftier, but at the same time a little misconceiving in that titanium, while much more durable against scratches and resisting little scuffs and bangs, it's still pretty lightweight in that of being titanium. holding it against my stainless steel Series 3 watch, this actually feels much more heavier than my Apple Watch Ultra for all intents and purposes. Now, the titanium body is bigger. It's a newer design. It's more utility focused. It's a flat screen at 49 millimeters, and that's something to note. That's your only screen option and your only material option. You either get what you get. There's no smaller screen size. There's no other material options. It's just titanium at 49 millimeters. You'll get a new look and feel with the Apple Watch Ultra. You have this new glaring orange that they chose for the color here that allows you to act as a customizable multi-action button. So you can customize it to, for example, open the Workouts app or what have you. It's essentially a third button to map to a specific functionality in terms of watchOS. You still have your crown here alongside the app switcher button, and it's now kind of fused into this crown guard, taking a look at standard utility watches. You have 3 microphones versus the 1 on the Series 8, and in terms of the screen, other than it just being purely bigger in terms of size, it is 2K nits brightness, meaning it's double the brightness of the Series 8. You also have an improved speaker/siren, and of course, in the internals, you have the same S8 chip that's powering the Series 8. The same processor. However, you get a little bit more durability out of the Ultra, such as the dual frequency GPS. You get 100 meters of water resistance. You get the water gauge and depth sensor, and the water temperature sensor. So it has all the standard sensors that you'd want in an Apple Watch, and then it just has a couple extra to really get you more pinpoint accuracy when it comes to GPS, as well as more durability in the sense of against the elements, whether you're diving underwater into the ocean, you're climbing high altitude mountains or peaks, or you're running long distance running. That's a lot of who they gear this kind of Apple Watch Ultra towards. But with that, obviously the biggest feature that a lot of people are touting due to the redesign is the battery life. With the bigger size, you're going from 18 hours to 36 hours of battery life. So true all-day battery life with the Apple Watch Ultra. In my personal experience with the Ultra, it really did hit those goals. And for example, I've had this for 2 days without charging it. We're nearly just about to drop under 40%. So obviously your mileage will vary, but for the most part, you're pretty much going to get 24 hours of usage out of it for the most part. And my experience with the Ultra versus the Series 8, it's everything I loved about the Series 8 and then some. And the best analogy I can kind of use is if you told me that the iPhone was only going to get minor updates next year, but it was going to get double the battery life, that's something personally I would be sold on and I would pay to upgrade to or justify, because again, having something that's already great, being able to last that much longer is a win in my book. And when you're using it as something like a fitness tracker or whatever, having that extra battery life kind of changes how you use it. For example, I tend to charge my watch overnight with the Series 8, even if the battery isn't drained fully. And I don't use it as a sleep tracker because of that, because that's typically the time I'm charging it. Whereas with the Ultra, I never really had to worry about that, and I could use it as a sleep tracker if I wanted, because, again, the battery life is just that great. Now, granted, right now I use an Oura Ring tracker for my sleep. It's just less conspicuous. It doesn't have to sit on the wrist, doesn't have a screen, has much longer lasting battery life, but you get the point nonetheless. Overall, I thought the 49 millimeters was going to be too big on my wrist, and I was surprised after I tried it on that it actually fit great, and it wasn't as big as I thought it would be on my wrist. I'm still not a fan of all the new bands, I will say. This is the Alpine Loop. This is my biggest compromise in terms of the band I got, but even then, I understand these are built for more function than form, because these are for people who are climbing mountains and so on. You want something really secure, but I wish there was more band options out the get-go. Outside of that, again, what you're paying for here at $800 base versus the $400 base when you're looking at these head-to-head is you're getting double the price on the Ultra for double the battery life is the easiest way to put it. You're getting a bigger screen on the Ultra, which is both good and bad in the sense that if you're somebody who already thinks the 45 millimeter watch is too big and you prefer a 41 or 40 millimeter, then you're probably not going to want the Ultra because it's that much more bulkier. You're also getting two different designs here when it comes to both watches. A classic design in that of the Apple Watch Series 8, and something that's a little bit new and more utility focused, but at the same time, yes, bulkier. Not as customizable as the Series 8, because you can't get this in different materials. You can't get this in a smaller screen size. You get when you get the Ultra. You have a little bit more options when it comes to the Series 8, which is fair. And that may be a reason that causes you not to upgrade and or switch. So, who do I think each of these devices for? Starting with the Apple Watch Ultra. This is meant for the enthusiasts. And I say enthusiasts and not just pro athletes or extreme outdoorsmen because, yes, while there's definitely going to be people who utilize that and this caters to their needs because of the improved sensors, the improved water depth gauge, and all that fun stuff. I'm personally not somebody who's using it for that, but I think this is also just for people who love their Apple Watch and want to get more out of it. This is for people who think that, they love Apple Watches or smartwatches in general, but battery life has definitely been their biggest pet peeve. Then this is the Apple Watch for you. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of other competitors, other smart and fitness watches out there that last much longer in terms of battery life when we're talking like Garmin and so on. But if you're in the Apple ecosystem and you wanted something that's more robust and lasts longer, then the Ultra is your only option right now. Now, conversely, the Series 8, I think, is for the vast majority of consumers out there, and probably for a majority of you who are going to watch this. It's cheaper, it's more customizable in terms of the materials you can get, the colors you can get. If battery life isn't a major concern for you and you're somebody who pretty much charges it daily, if not every other day anyways, and you can get past that, then the Series 8 is going to be solid all around. It does a lot of what most people need it to do, and it does it great. Whereas the Ultra is going to do that and then some and last you longer. So ultimately for me, did I need the Ultra? Did I need to make the upgrade? No. 100%, I would have been 100% fine with the Series 8 and this would have lasted me just fine and continue to serve me. However, I am glad I tried them both out and ultimately ended up with the Ultra because having such a great experience with the Series 8 made me want more of the same, and the Ultra delivers in that front. Look, at the end of the day, these fitness trackers, they're not going to make you more fit. They're not going to make you more active. But if they give you that little push, that little motivation, they're nice conduits to kind of help you track your data, motivate you on your fitness journey, then all the more power to you. While also being, of course, a smartwatch and giving you ease of control, dependency away from your phone, and much more. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this helped you in your purchasing decision between the Apple Watch Ultra and the Series 8. And if it did, consider hitting that thumbs up button. Consider subscribing for the full reviews of each of these in the future. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching.